Hello everyone and welcome back. So for anybody that really keeps up with Jurassic news, then you'll know that recently we've been subject to a massive outburst of news regarding a potential new TV show. So as far as we know it's animated, we know it's a TV show, and we might have a bit of an idea of one of the main characters. So other than that, the rest is entirely speculation, which is lucky because for those of you that are new to the channel, speculation is basically my entire gimmick. So in today's video, if you haven't guessed already, we'll be looking at this potential TV series, what it could be, when it could be released, and what it could mean for the rest of the Jurassic franchise. But before we get into it, I know that this is probably a bit of a different dynamic for the channel, considering I usually just cover Jurassic World Evolution 2. So really today, more than ever, your support is required for me to really get feedback on this video and know if this is the type of thing that you want to see more of. So because I have literally no idea how this video will go, if you do go on to enjoy, please do consider liking. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts, and please even consider subscribing, as I'm really trying to push for 2,000 subscribers. With that being said, let's get into the video. So before we get into any of the real nitty-gritty details, I think it's important to mention the fact that a few months ago Universal bought the rights to the term rule the earth. You may well have seen this in Swerve's thumbnail. I'm not trying to copy him, I just think it's important to mention because if anything's going to be the name for this series, it's probably going to be Rule the Earth, morally down to the fact that Universal bought the rights to it. And as I said at the beginning of this video, it's pretty much more than confirmed at this point that this series won't sadly be live action and will be another animation. And for those of you that didn't know, well, as a matter of fact, most of you probably won't know, I wasn't a massive fan of Camp Cretaceous, so when I got this news, it was definitely a bit of a bummer. However, judging off of the fact that the show's literally called Rule the Earth, it makes me sort of excited that this perhaps could be something that's more dinosaurs in the wild, and really what I wanted Dominion to be, just animated and a series. Which I'm totally fine with as long as they execute it well. I'm all for seeing more dinosaurs in the wild, as really the only glimpse we've got at it has been at the end of the past two Jurassic movies. However, I did definitely want to see something live action that was a series, so, you know, it is definitely a bit annoying that we're probably not going to get that, and if we do, it won't be for a while. And on that note, I want to show you something that was made by Jurassic Lord over on Twitter that I think could actually be a much more smarter way to approach the future of the Jurassic franchise. So as you can see, it's much more of an MCU approach to things as opposed to the usual, you know, movie every few years. And I feel like this is the way that Universal should really approach the future of Jurassic. There's so many loose ends that Dominion has left untied, and I feel like if we can get, you know, this sort of layout for the future, I'm not at all saying we will, I should probably mention that this is unofficial. However, I feel like it's a much better way to do it, because in the Kayla Watts series, you can have her versus Sonia, and it would just, you know, make sense, and we wouldn't be left with these lingering questions in the final film of the Jurassic saga. Because inevitably, Jurassic's gonna end, but we don't want it to end with so many unanswered questions. And I certainly don't want the franchise to end on an animation. I want something live action, badass, that does this series justice. Because respectably, while Dominion was still a great film, I feel that the stuff that Camp Cretaceous has really done for the franchise, it just doesn't really sit right with me, knowing that that's just there and, you know, it's there. I can't really sugarcoat that, but more or less I'm just a bit frustrated with the whole sort of futuristic technology route that we went through. I get that a lot of it was to tie up how the mind controlling system worked in Dominion, but even then I feel that was a stretch, but you know, it worked and it gave us invisible fences in Jurassic World Evolution 2, so if I've had to thank Camp Cretaceous for anything, it's probably that. But generally speaking, I understand, and please don't cancel me for this, to some extent Camp Cretaceous is a kids show, and again, I'm not saying that you can't watch it, but the basic premise of it is, it's not like a kid's gonna get annoyed at giant robots fighting dinosaurs, because realistically that was most of our childhood dreams. And I'm not at all saying that Camp Cretaceous is a kids show, I'm just saying that certain elements of the show, the way it was written, felt a lot like a kids show, and you know, I'm not saying that you can't watch it, but I don't think like certain aspects of it were intended for the older audience, yet we still ended up being the ones that watched it. And to sort of elaborate on that point, I watched Camp Cretaceous with my younger brother. He loved it to bits. I was honestly left annoyed because of, you know, what it meant for the rest of the franchise. especially the Bradbots. And I'm honestly kind of obliged to think like that because, you know, it's both something that I do for a hobby as well as almost kind of my job. And that's partly the reason that I was really hoping that this new series would be live action, and was honestly a bit disappointed that it wasn't animation. And that inevitably means that it will also be written by DreamWorks, which doesn't so much so worry me as just sort of annoy me. But again, it's a bit of a pet peeve because, you know, I want a series that brings us that gore and that terror that the first Jurassic Park gave us when we all first watched it. Because I haven't had that sense of, you know, terror really in me from anything Jurassic for a long time. And that's why I feel like it would be a good idea for Universal to kind of shift away from doing so many animations and actually go in and just cut to the chase, do a live action. And honestly, I feel people would, you know, give that a better reception than another Camp Cretaceous. But again, that is just my selfish judgment of things. That's just how I'd want it to go. But let me know down in the comments how you want Universal to approach the future of Jurassic. Now for the last segment of today's video, I wanted to discuss the supposed character description for one of the leading characters in this new Jurassic series. So the basic premise of the character is her name is Sydney, she's 19, she has one arm because she lost it in a fight with an animal, because that's an important detail I guess. She's an advocate for going against climate change, and yeah, that's about it. So the character herself definitely sounds like an interesting approach, especially having one arm and being an advocate for going against climate change. However, there's one more important detail that's mentioned in the description that's actually got me quite excited for this series. It mentions the fact that she likes exploring national parks. So you may well be thinking, okay, fair enough, I like going outside too. However, the reason this has got me excited is because if you remember at the start of the video, I mentioned that I wanted an experience that was more actually out there, what Dominion should have been, where you're not stuck in one place and dinosaurs are literally everywhere, like they could literally be in your garden. And judging off of the fact that she likes exploring national parks in the wilderness, makes me think that this is much more of an experience where it's dinosaurs are in the wild, be careful. And for me at least, that's a much more exciting dynamic than trapped on an island and your friend's dad is trying to kill you with mind-controlling dinosaurs. But other than that, we don't really have too much news for this series. I'll keep you posted if anything new does come out, assuming you want more of this content. In terms of when it releases, I'm going to say probably early 2024 to potentially even 2025. That's down to the fact that they've only just started casting calls, which, you know, means that they're extremely early into development and it's probably still a long time coming. So I would say that exciting times are definitely upon us, and if you want to be caught with the latest and dare I say greatest Jurassic news, please do consider liking and subscribing. Also, quick shout out to Jurassic Lord for the sort of concept that I showed you earlier in today's video. I'll leave his link down in the description so you can go check out his Twitter. Again, 30 likes would be greatly appreciated, but that's been all from me. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.